Hey guys, Blue OJ Leader here. With Thomas and Friends being around since 1984, there's bound to be lots of episodes, plenty of which that don't get talked about. So I thought it might be fun to give my opinion on every single Thomas and Friends episode. Yes, every single one. At least from the classic series. Now that might seem impossible considering that would mean I'd have to go through nearly 600 episodes of Thomas and Friends. Well, first of all, that's why I'm only talking about the classic series for now. Second of all, to make sure this video doesn't go on for hours, I'm gonna go through the episodes relatively quickly, probably 1 to 2 sentences each. And last of all, this is all just my opinion, so feel free to disagree. Anyways, starting with Season 1, here is my opinion on every classic Thomas and Friends episode. It's a very good first episode. It's solid, it's kinda funny, it's a good part too. It's charming and iconic, but honestly, this episode was so overplayed on DVDs to the point where I kind of stopped caring about it. It's good, and I like the music. Good, but overshadowed by The Adventure Begins. It's pretty good. It's very good. It's good. It's the most basic Thomas episode, but it's not as bad as some people say. It's pretty funny. I quite like this episode. It's good, but it has a similar issue to Thomas's Train. It's good. It's alright. I like it, but I have some issues with this episode and I think it's overrated. I actually really like this episode. Fantastic. The visuals and music are amazing. I hold a lot of nostalgia for this episode and I still consider it a favorite. I quite like this episode. It's good. Cool crash. It's pretty good. It's good. Aside from having a more White Christmas setup, I don't know why they couldn't have just adapted Mrs. Kindly's Christmas instead. And my overall opinion on Season 1 is pretty good. There's nothing I really dislike about this season. It's true classic Thomas and a near perfect first season. Now Season 2. I like it. I think it's pretty funny. It's good. It's good. I really like this episode. I've kind of come around to Thomas and Trevor. The pacing is still weird and not a lot happens, but I don't hate this episode as much as I used to. It's pretty good. It's an amazing episode, plus Ringo Starr's line is priceless. It's very great. It's good. Weird we didn't get Percy's promise before it, but still a good episode. It's good. Good cliffhanger episode. Very epic chase, but I do think we needed a proper part 4. Similar issues with Thomas and Trevor. It's very good. It's also very good. Cool crash. It's pretty good. It's good, but I do think we needed Bull Eyes. I think it's pretty funny. It's good and the ending is priceless. My personal favorite episode. I love Edward's exploit. Edward is at his best and it's an example of a near perfect episode. It's fun and spooky. It's pretty good. Better than the last Christmas special, but not by much. And my overall opinion on Season 2 is my favorite season of Thomas and Friends. The episodes in this season were just amazing for the most part. It really felt like an improvement from Season 1 and it will be hard to top. Now Season 3. I like the additions they made to the story. Like I said before, it should have come before Percy takes a plunge, but it's still very good. It's decent. It's good. I quite like this episode. I do not care for this episode. I don't like it as much as I used to, but it's still fine. It's good, but a little overrated. This is my comfort episode. I love Henry's Forest. It's decent. This episode should have ended 30 seconds sooner than it actually did. Cool nighttime scenes. It's good. It's good. Fun tightroping scene. I do not care for this episode. It's good. I kind of like this one. I do not care for this episode. Not the best adaptation, but it's okay overall. I love this episode. It's pretty good. It's good. It's pretty good. Not a fan. Thomas and Percy's Christmas adventure is decent, but Thomas and Percy's mountain adventure is pretty funky. And my overall opinion on Season 3 is, good. I mean, I know people like this season, but a good chunk of the episodes aren't very standout-ish, and the writing could be very choppy. I've said before that this is my least favorite classic season, but after revisiting this season, I don't think it is anymore. But I still don't like Season 3 that much, and I don't think my biases will ever change. Sorry. Now Season 4. I really like this episode. The recap is annoying, but it's a good part too. Fun crash and a good story. I quite like this episode. It's a good Skarloey episode. I don't know why they had the Skarloey Railway introduced in the last episode just to do it again in this episode, but the story is pretty solid. It's pretty good. The crash is cool. It's good. It's good. I quite like this episode. And I really like this one too. It's very funny. This one is just good though. I really like this episode. It's a love it or hate it episode, and I think I'm on the hate side. It's good. It's good. I like this one a lot. It's good. Yeah, this one's really good. It's pretty good. It's pretty grand. And so is this one. Cool crash, but a pretty standard story. Not a fan. Yeah, not a fan. And my overall opinion on Season 4 is pretty good, if a little overrated. I know this is another season people tend to really like, and I do think it's much better than Season 3. But there weren't a ton of episodes that felt like obvious favorites. It's still a good season though, and I'd say it's as good if not better than Season 1. Now Season 5. I really like this episode. It's good. Yeah, I like this episode. I love this one. It's really funny. It's decent. The story is too all over the place. It's good. It's not a fan. Underrated episode. I love Put Upon Percy. I really like this epic episode. It's great and spooky. It's good. It's dark, but in a good way. I kind of like and don't like this episode, but mostly like. It's pretty good. It's nice. It's good. It's good. Not a fan. It's really funny. Just as good, if not better, than Lady Hat's Birthday Party. Simple in some ways, but still pretty good. I do not care for this episode. I do care for this episode though. Quite a lot, in fact. It's great and spooky. I was terrified by this episode as a kid, and now I like this episode. It's the best winter episode so far, but is that really saying much? And my overall opinion on Season 5 is, there is a reason that this is the overall fan favorite season. I do think people tend to overlook some obvious duds of episodes, but I still consider it my second favorite season behind 2. Now Season 6. It's really good. It's good. I quite like this episode. It's good. It's pretty good. I quite like this episode. Great episode. But I like part 2 a lot more. I actually kind of like this episode. It's good. It's good. I actually really like this episode. Not a fan. Yeah, not a fan. It's pretty good. It's good, I think. The crash was easily the best part of this episode. Second verse, same as the first. I think it's kind of funny. This episode is really nice. This episode is also really good. I really like this episode, and it's very funny. It's good. It's good. Not a fan. I actually kind of like this episode, and I wish other Railway series stories were adapted for the narrow gauge engines like this. And my overall opinion on Season 6 is my least favorite classic season. Yep, I'm going back on my previous statements. There are a lot of hidden gems in this season, but the flaws are just too apparent with this season, particularly the visuals, US narration, and the weaker stories. Notice how there were a lot of it's goods in this one. It's still a solid season, don't get me wrong. It's just the worst classic season. And finally, Season 7. It's crazy to think Emily came from this episode, and it's a pretty good one. I quite like this episode. It's pretty good. I do not like how Skarloey is used in this episode. I think the concept is okay, but Skarloey was just not the right choice. It's not a fan. It's good. I actually kind of like this episode. It's pretty good. It's solid. It's decent. It's good. The roller coaster stuff was kind of fun, but the rest was just okay. It's good. I really like this episode. I like this episode. It's pretty good. It's solid. I sort of like this episode. I really like this episode. I think it's decent. I love the Sir Topham Hatt stuff, and the rest is good too. I actually kind of like this episode. Yeah, I like this episode. It's surprisingly good. I wish this episode was more accessible. Rusty is a real hero in this episode. I like this episode, and it's a really good farewell to the classic series. And my overall opinion on Season 7 is right above Season 3. There were some stinkers in this season, but the good episodes definitely make up for it. This season improves on the issues from Season 7 and is pretty underrated. I honestly like this season as much as seasons 1 and 4. So, sue me, I guess. And that is my opinion on every Classic Thomas and Friends episode. Just kidding. We have to talk about Jack in the Pat. Jack in the Pat was a planned spin-off for Thomas and Friends that was filmed alongside season 7. But it was cancelled by Hit Entertainment and only 13 of the 26 episodes were completed. A couple years after it was cancelled, however, the 13 episodes were released on DVD and we got to see what Jack in the Pat could have been. So, let's talk about these episodes, shall we? It's a good episode. This one's also good. I think this one is funny. It's fine, I guess. This one is solid. This one's also solid. It's a great retelling of The Tortoise and the Hare. I like how Max and Monty got scared by Thomas. It's good. I kind of like this episode. It's fine, I guess. This one is pretty funny. It's a solid episode. And my overall opinion on Jack in the Pat is good. I think the spin-off show would have been pretty cool if it actually came out. I do think it could have used a little less Thomas and Percy, and not every episode was amazing, but I think it could have rivaled other Classic Thomas seasons if it actually came out. But for now, it's going below season 6, but then again, that's only because this series was unfinished. And that was my opinion on every Classic Thomas and Friends episode. Man, what a great run of episodes. I love the Classic series and always will. And while my opinions on some of the seasons and episodes are admittedly weird, I still think Classic Thomas is some of the best children's entertainment you can find out there. As we wrap up this video, in case you didn't realize or know, this video was inspired by Aura Guardian's opinion on every Pokemon videos. Go check those videos out if you want to, but they are definitely more PG compared to my channel, so you have been warned. Anyways, with one era of the show down, it's time to move on to the next era of the show. Or should I say, the new era of the show. But for now...
So that's going to be all for this video, guys. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know in the comments what you thought of this video. But that's all for now, guys. This is the Blue OJ Leader, and I'll see you later.